What's up, y'all? Welcome to That's No Moon Pod, episode 2. Today, I wanted to kind of talk about some things that have been going on recently in the Star Wars community, like always. Star Wars Theory had some critiques and kind of gave his thoughts on Andor, and he's been dealing with some backlash recently for some of the things that he said in a live stream, and I kind of wanted to get my take on all that and kind of just give my thoughts on how I feel like the Star Wars community is at this current state. We all know after the sequel trilogy came out that those movies kind of divided all of the fan base, especially The Last Jedi. And ever since then, it's just been kind of hectic between all the fans. No one seems to agree on anything. If someone disagrees with someone on their opinion, then, they get hate for it, and it's just a mess. And I wish it wasn't like that, because it all just seems so unnecessary. We all have our own opinions on everything, not just Star Wars. And it just seems like when someone hears something that they don't agree on, or they just have a different opinion on, that they get offended and feel the need to retaliate and troll or make fun of the other person's opinion, when it really shouldn't matter what someone else thinks when you have your own opinion. So, to get into the whole Star Wars theory drama, or whatever you want to call it, he was doing a watch along for the season finale of Andor last week, and he had been given his opinions throughout. I know he says that he enjoyed the show. He thought the show was good. He just felt like, some of it was kind of boring to him, And, that's completely his opinion. He has a right to his opinion, like everyone else. He's no different than any of us, And he had some critiques for the show, and the ones that really kind of blew up on him was that he had said that how in Andor some of the sets were made with screws and bricks, and that became a whole kind of viral Twitter troll thing on him, over the weekend, just pretty much kind of bashing him for saying that, or for having those critiques. And I don't know, I just think it's so ridiculous for people to just take someone else's opinion so seriously and try to flip it on them just to get themselves some recognition, Because Star Wars Theory is, one of the biggest Star Wars outlets out there. He has a big following, a huge fan base. He's been doing this for years. So, kind of jumping on him for something that he said during a live stream to kind of profit off that by using his name to kind of boost their reputation a bit, just kind of seems, pretty low and ridiculous. And a lot of it, I'm sure, is kind of taken out of context, I don't necessarily fully agree with some of the things that Star Wars Theory didn't like about Andor. I have my own opinions on Andor. Sometimes I thought it was a little boring, but overall, the show was really well done, really well acted and written. If you listen to episode 1, I kind of give my my critiques, and my overall review is in episode 1 of That's No Moon Pod, which I uploaded last week. But to kind of get back to, just Star Wars Theory and kind of how the Star Wars fan base is right now, it's just so crazy how we all love this same thing, Us Star Wars fans, we all love Star Wars. And there's so much different Star Wars to love, and yet people still find a way to, just take someone else's opinion on some form of content in the Star Wars universe and try to use it against them, or they get offended for not having the same point of view as they do. And it just doesn't make any sense. And it just seems like it's been like that since The Phantom Menace came out. And now, I was only about 5 years old when The Phantom Menace came out. So, growing up on the prequel trilogy, I wasn't aware or even had even had a thought of those movies being hated on like how they were at the time. Because I was a kid. I was just a little kid watching Star Wars, loving it. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Those movies were on repeat for me back in the day. And even though I was first introduced to Star Wars through the special edition VHS tapes, A New Hope was the very first Star Wars I ever seen, or I ever saw back in the day. That's like one of the first memories I have of ever watching any movie. And so A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, those movies are top of the list for me, and they always will be, just because those were the first Star Wars movies that I seen. Even though I never got a chance to see them in theaters when they first came out, I was still able to, see what all the magic was of the Star Wars universe before the prequels came out. And so whenever we finally did get the prequels, it was just like, just extra Star Wars for me to love, pretty much. And so me growing up with those movies, like I said, I never knew about, the hate for the prequels from a lot of the people that grew up watching the original trilogy. And, of course, as I got older and older, I started to see, all the hate towards the prequels, but still it never really mattered to me, just because I grew up on those movies and I loved them, and I still do. And yeah, you could say this and that about them, how, some of the writing in the prequels or the dialogue or, whatever. And I can completely understand that, people's opinion on if someone were to compare them to the original trilogy. It's like, well, yeah, the original trilogy is, arguably the best trilogy ever made of any movies. But to get to my original point, is, there's always been that division between us in the Star Wars community. And ever since The Phantom Menace and all the way now to 2022, it's still the same thing. And then we get the sequel trilogy, and The Force Awakens, for the most part, was, I feel like most people enjoyed it. Didn't really have too much of a problem with it. But then The Last Jedi comes out and completely, just wrecks any kind of momentum we had to finally feeling like one again. And then we all know how the sequel trilogy ends. Just no plan, no thought into anything really, no collaboration. Just let's pump these movies out, make our Billy, and we're good. On to the next one, pretty much. And it really sucks because, there was really a point there where, or at least a chance for all of us to, not all of us are going to fully agree on everything, but we could have at least gotten on the right path, and instead it just kind of, crumbled the road even more for all of us. So yeah, it's just like I said, everyone's going to have their own opinion on this thing of Star Wars or that. And just because it's not what you think doesn't make it wrong, doesn't make it, an excuse to get offended or go after that person or troll them or make fun of them or anything like that. Because you wouldn't want that to be you, right? You wouldn't want someone bashing on you for liking this or liking that. It's just, you like what you like, and no one should have to tell you to not. And you shouldn't have to listen to any of that. So, yeah, I mean, the whole Star Wars theory thing, he's just going to get, most of the hate for whatever he says because he's the big name and he has the big following. And if anyone were to bring up his name in any way to hate on him or to kind of use his name to, get clicks or likes or whatever, they're going to do it. But it's just, they're trying to benefit themselves instead of, actually trying to come out with something with integrity, But I thought he handled it pretty well. I know he made a response video kind of talking about, just kind of clarifying what he meant by all those words that he said. But again, that's his opinion, and we all have our own opinions on everything, so it doesn't make any difference on who likes what or anything. It's just stick with what you like and don't get offended by someone that doesn't like what you like. And to kind of end my thoughts on all this, I didn't really know how to end all this. I was just kind of rambling and had a lot of thoughts on all that going on. But yeah, I mean, Andor, Mandalorian, I feel like are two best, things that we've gotten from Star Wars in the most recent years that have kind of helped us fans kind of stick together a bit and kind of put us on the right track to, hopefully getting to the point to where the Star Wars community is on the right path just to being one again. I mean, you look at Lord of the Rings fans, Marvel fans, they all seem to get along kind of. I mean, Lord of the Rings fans love the Peter Jackson movies. I feel like for the most part they all kind of feel kind of iffy on the Hobbit trilogy. Even though I like the Hobbit trilogy, but that's just me. And Marvel has just been on a roll since, Iron Man came out. Even though it's a little shaky right now, I feel like after Wakanda Forever, they're going to kind of start, kind of getting back on track on where they were all those past years. But the fan bases are still, pretty intact, even through some bumps in the roads. You're going to have that. Nothing's really perfect, and you make so much content, you put out so much content, you're going to have some misses. You're going to have some people not liking certain things as much, or one movie or one show doesn't get as many butts in the seats or eyes on the screen. But like I said, that's just what's going to happen. And man, yeah, I'm so used to looking forward to Andor every Wednesday. I mean, 3 months of it, you kind of get used to it, part of your routine every Wednesday, and now it's going to be weird not, waking up on Wednesday, getting ready to watch Andor. But I mean, I know we have Bad Batch 2 coming out, which I'm super stoked on. I love the first season. And we got Mando 3 coming out next year. Ahsoka. There's just so much new Star Wars content to come, and it all looks very promising. Mando 3 is gonna be so awesome. I could already tell I feel like it's gonna be the best season so far. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, I just hope that the more W's we get with Star Wars, the more we can all kind of get on the same page for the most part, and instead of constantly trying to attack one another and try to just criticize someone for not having the same opinion, we can all just finally accept someone else's thoughts, and have constructive criticism, and just have conversations about, oh, you didn't like this, or tell me why you didn't like that, or I like this, I didn't like that, instead of just trolling people, because there's just people out there that want to hate just to hate. They get a kick out of it. They want to use it to their advantage. They know they could just easily type it out and send it off, and that person might see it, they might not, but to them, they're getting something out of it to where they feel like they need to speak their mind on what it is that they're listening to. But it's just all about how you say it. Just because it's not what you wanted to hear doesn't mean that you gotta react a certain way about it. It's just not real. Because I'll be honest, to me, when I see people get hate on certain things that they say, and you see trolls or just people writing mean comments in certain creators' videos and under their tweets and whatnot, and their comments on Instagram, it's just so crazy that people can just say things, and it's like, to me, it doesn't even, when I see certain things that just blow my mind, I'm like, okay, that's just not real, right? Like, they can't be serious, or at least fully, because it's kind of hard to, get like a full vibe off of text. Emojis kind of help with that a little bit, to kind of get the emotion behind what the person's saying, but a lot of times it's just kind of, comment on something, and it may come off like a certain way, but really you're just reading text through a screen, and you don't really know how that person feels emotionally while they're trying to type how they feel. So it's just like a weird thing to see hate comments on people's posts and think that, it's real, But some people get a kick out of it, and some people aren't able to kind of brush it off as easily and kind of take it as what it is, just, trolls or hate, and it can affect some people, even though they're just words on a screen, you could type something and hit a button on someone and it hurts that person in a certain way. And, I just don't understand why there's people like that. But I guess there always will be. We'll never fully be able to get rid of them. We just all got to kind of do our best to ignore it, block it out. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. You got your thoughts, I got mine. We all do. And it should just be left at that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really wanted to talk about, I guess. I guess next week I'll kind of talk about whatever's been going on in the Star Wars news. I know there's been a few stories that have been kind of coming out with Disney and Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, if she's going to stay, if she's going to go. It just seems like there's always something new popping off now with Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel. So I guess we'll see what happens next week. I'll kind of get some ideas going and get my thoughts ready and hop back on this and, just see what's up with y'all. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for checking out That's No Moon Pod. This has been episode 2. I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.